Hi there! Creating a chart is a great way of visualizing numeric values. However, creating 12 charts in one single sheet would be confusing and considered an abuse of the real estate we have. I'm Nabil Murad. In our worksheet, we have different sales channels and the gross profit generated for each channel in each month. I would like to create a separate chart for each month and be able to switch charts by selecting a different month from a drop list. In this project, we'll create a drop list, a data validation list for the different month. We'll then create a helper table to extract the profit for the selected month using an index function and combine it with match functions. We'll then create a nice column chart, format the different chart elements, and add a dynamic chart title. Finally, we'll test switching charts by using our drop list. We have a lot to learn, so let's see how we build our project from ground up in Excel. In this worksheet, I have the gross profit for each month of the year for each sales channel. And I would like to represent these values graphically by creating a column chart. But instead of abusing of the real estate of my worksheet, I would like to be able to create a drop list in cell N1, and when I create this drop list for the different month of the year, I want to be able to change my selection from the drop list, and accordingly my chart updates and reflects values for a specific month. Let's see how we create these steps in Excel. Step number 1 will be creating my drop list. We call it a data validation list. To create a data validation list, we go to the Data tab of the ribbon, and on the Data tab, we have Data Validation. Alternatively, you can use the shortcut Alt-DL. In the Data Validation dialog box, I would like to select a list. So from the first down arrow, I select List. And in the source box, I need to specify the values that will appear in my drop list, and these values will be the different month of the year, so I could simply select them from my worksheet, and then hit OK. Now I want to test my drop list by selecting one of the months. Let's say I'm selecting April. My next step will be creating a preparation table, or you can call it a helper table. And this helper table will show the different channels, and it will show the values depending upon the selected month in my drop list. So before creating my preparation table, I would like to connect cell Q1 to whatever comes from the drop list. So I just type an equal sign and click on N1 and then hit enter. Changing the value from the drop list will accordingly change the value in Q1. Now, let's copy the channels. I can select the different channels, and then I can press Ctrl and drag, or use the Ctrl C and Ctrl V. Any technique for copying will work. So I'm copying my channels and I'm pasting them in column P. What I would like to do right now is to extract the values, and to extract the values, I want to extract only the values corresponding to the month in Q1, which is affected by my selection in cell N1 in my data validation list. And to do this, I'll be using a powerful extraction function called the index function. The index function requires 3 arguments. Number 1, an array, which simply means from where would you like to extract the numbers. Let's say I want to extract the numbers for the gross profit for each month. So this is my source list. I would like to extract numbers from my source list. This is my array. But I would like to extract a number based upon 2 conditions. A condition in the month and a condition in the sales channel. So the condition in the sales channel will be provided as a row number. So if I select 1, that means I'm looking for catalog. If I'm selecting 3 for the row number, that means I'm looking for reseller. And for the column number, it depends upon the month. So when I say I need to extract values for September, so where is September in my list? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That should be number 9. So in this cell, based upon the value in Q1, I would like to extract from this array, that's the first argument of my index function. I want to extract from row number 1 and column number 9. The row and the column change. The row changes as I go down, and the column changes based upon my selection in the drop list. So these two values should be dynamic. And to make them dynamic, I'll be using a match function. So let's see how we build our function by using equal sign. I want to create an index function, and then I hit tab. The index function can be used in two different ways, so it shows two different screen tips. I'll be following the first one. I need an array, and I'll be selecting all the values. These correspond to the arrays. But I'll be copying my formula down. And to be able to copy my formula down, this array should be locked, and I lock it by hitting the F4 key on my keyboard. So it doesn't change. As I go down, it becomes an absolute reference. And then to move to the next argument, which is a row number, I type a comma. I could type simply number 1, and when I go down, I want row number 2 for online, and then when I go further down, I want row number 3 for the reseller, and then when I go down, I want row number 4 for the store sales. But that wouldn't create a dynamic function. I want to create a dynamic function that extracts the row number automatically, and this function is called the match function. So I type match, and then I hit tab. For the match function, look at the screen tip, it switches to the match function right now. It says, what's your lookup value? Which simply means, what are you looking for? From the point of view of this cell in which I'm creating my function, I'm looking for catalog. And then I want to hit comma to move to the next argument. And the next argument says, where are you looking for this value, catalog? I'm looking for this value in the list of channels available in column A. And because I'll be copying my formula down, this range should be locked. So I hit the F4 key. And then when I hit comma, it asks me, are you looking at an exact match or an approximate match? I'm looking at an exact match, which is 0. So I'm selecting exact, and then I close bracket. I'm still in the process of creating my index function. After closing bracket for my match function, my index screen tip pops up one more time. So I'm going to hit comma to move to the last argument of my column function. Which column would you like to extract a value from? I want to extract a value that corresponds to September. So I need to extract a value from column number 9. And to make it dynamic, I'll be using another match function. So I'm typing match, and then I hit tab. I want to match this value which corresponds to the month, Q1. But remember, we are copying our formula down. And when we copy our formula down, we don't want this cell to change. So I'm locking this cell reference Q1, and then I hit comma. And then I want to extract from a range. My lookup array will be all the names for the different months coming from row number 5, from B5 to M5. And then I want to lock this one as well. So I hit F4 and then comma. I type a 0 because I need an exact match, and I close the bracket for the match function. And then I want to close the bracket for my index function, and then I want to hit enter to extract the value for September for the catalog sale. This is the dynamic function, so I can click and drag to copy it down, and I would have extracted all the values for September. Let's see how dynamic this function is. First of all, I want to put it in the edit mode by hitting the F2 key, and when I put it in the edit mode, I would like to test a subset of each function, so I put my blinking cursor in the index and click on the screen tip to select the second part, the row number. When I select it, I want to see what would it return when I hit enter. So I hit the F9 key to test this part. We call it the calculate now. So when I hit F9, it should return number 1. Don't forget, we need to undo this step. So I hit Ctrl Z, and I want to test the last part, the column number. It selects all the second match function. When you hit F9, this one is returning 9. So everything is dynamic, and then I hit enter to keep my index function. Based upon this preparation table, I'll be creating my chart. And because this preparation table is using Q1 as an input value for the index function, and Q1 is driving its value from N1. So if I click on the down arrow for N1 and change it, let's say to June, look at that. All the numbers right now reflect the selected month from the drop list. My next step will be visualizing the data coming from my preparation table. So I select the column labels and select the values. Go to the Insert tab of the ribbon, and we have a group for creating charts. And because I want to create the default chart, which is a column chart, I could simply use the shortcut Alt F1. And the chart is created. I want to improve the appearance of this chart by doing few things. To the left side, I have the vertical axis or the value axis. I want to remove this one so that my chart grows bigger in size, so I select it and hit the delete key on my keyboard. I do have also these horizontal lines. We call them grid lines. I don't need them, so I'm going to delete them as well. My next step is to reduce the gap between the different columns, and to reduce the gap, I click on one of the columns and then right-click and select Format Data Series. Alternatively, I can use the shortcut Ctrl+1. When I use the shortcut Ctrl+1, the Format Data Series pane opens on the right side. I have a slider for the gap width. I'm going to drag the slider a little bit to the left. And when I release, I should have reduced the gap. I can also adjust the numbers by using the spin buttons. After adjusting the gap, I want to change the fill color. And I don't want the same fill color for all the columns. Instead, I want a different color for each column. And because I'm talking about the fill color, I click on the bucket icon. And when you click on this bucket icon, you have fill and border. Click on the triangle to the left side of fill. And from here, we need different colors, so I'll be selecting vary color by point. Now that I have done that, I need to change its appearance and make it a 3D chart or a bevel chart, and this is called an effect. And because each one of these columns is actually a shape, a rectangle, so I go to the Format tab of the ribbon and say, I would like to apply a shape effect. I click on the down arrow for shape effect, go to bevel, and then click on Effects, the predefined bevel effect, and that looks nice. My next step will be adding labels to each column, because actually I removed my vertical axis, and these labels are called data labels. So if you click on the plus sign to the upper right corner of the chart and then select data labels, I could simply check it, and if you want to refine it, you click on the little triangle to its right in case you want to make a change. But in this case, I'm not making a change, so I'm checking the box for data labels. My data labels appear right now on top of each column. I want to make them bigger, so I click on one of the data labels. All the data labels are highlighted, and I go to the Home tab, and I can increase the font size to 10 and make it bold. I want to do the same exact thing for my horizontal axis, the category axis. I want to increase the font size to 10 and make it bold. Now my next step will be adding a border to my chart. So with the chart selected, I go to the Format tab and click on Shape Outline and say I want a black border, but I want this border to be 1.5, and I added a nice border. The last thing is to create a dynamic label. So whenever I change my selection from the drop list, N1 will change, and accordingly Q1 will change, and I want my chart to reflect that as well. So to create a dynamic label, I have to prepare for that as well. So I'm selecting, let's say, cell B11, and I'll type a formula In this formula, I'll be combining text and the cell reference. I'll type an equal sign and type gross profit for, and then I want to join it, so I type a joining operator Shift 7 on your keyboard, and then I click on cell Q1. Now when I hit enter, I have gross profit for June. Changing my selection in the drop list not only will change Q1, but it will also change my label. Now to link the chart title to cell B11, I select the chart title, put it in the edit mode by hitting F2, and now I type an equal sign, keep an eye on the formula bar, and click on cell B11. Now when I hit enter, I would have created a dynamic title. Now let's improve the appearance of this title by selecting it, and then I go to the Home tab. I want to make it bold, and I want to change the font color. I'll make it dark blue, and I would have created my chart. The last step in this project is to test my chart and test my setup. So if I go to N1 and change my selection and make it, let's say, August, everything is dynamic and everything changes. If I change it, let's say, to November, everything is dynamic. My preparation table extracts a new set of values. These values are reflected on my chart. The label changes as well, and my chart title changes automatically. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this training video, like, comment, share and subscribe, and see you in our next training video.